Gerhard Bloom, once again, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So I was, as I mentioned previously, profoundly shocked and pleased by Joe Biden's statements to the world, indicating that for the president, the people of the United States, who he is speaking on behalf of, there is no ambiguities here. No moral ambiguities. There's no moral equivalencies here. There's evil. It's on the side of Hamas. And there's the innocent victim here. This is Israel. And you have leftist groups, and particularly these Ivy League universities across the United States, various groups, university groups, waving the banner of support for the poor, oppressed Palestinians. As I mentioned, you supporting baby killers and rapists, this means you're lost. You're morally lost. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that allows you or excuses this kind of behavior. If Jews during the Second World War had managed, to organize as they did in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, fighting German soldiers, beautiful. But if they had gone out and they killed women and children, German women and children, and raping them, they would have been wrong. There is nothing that excuses this kind of behavior. So great for President Joe Biden. And this marked a sharp departure because he was a parade leader of this leftist ideology that had implicated itself in the Democratic Party. So he's giving the unwavering support to Israel. But wait for it. As always happens in the conflict involving Israel, strong political support, and then images of, dead Palestinians and clamoring for Israel to put a stop to it. In this case, Israel, it's very clear, has absolutely no options but to destroy Hamas and, if I'm right, a reoccupation of Gaza. Yes, after the 67 war, Israel, I believe it was in 67 war, occupied Gaza, I think 2005, turned the keys over back to the Palestinians to run it. Well, we see how well that has turned out. No. So Israel is amassing troops, softening up targets within Gaza, and then we'll have to do the painstaking, very dangerous work of going in there and clearing out every vestige of terrorist activity, terrorist fighters, and dismantle the political leadership that is Hamas. And again, I think quite probably, almost certainly actually, they will have to reoccupy Gaza. So much for, Israel being an occupation force. Well, this is what the war has led to. But yeah, undoubtedly, international support will start to erode. It already has, a number of obviously Arab countries and, sympathizers with the plight of the Palestinians because they haven't cracked open a history book. But at any rate, the United States needs to stand strong. Disproportionate response. I'm sure you've heard this statistic, numerous times, but I'll trot it out there again. This would be the equivalent for Israel in relative terms as if 35,000 Americans were killed on 9/11, whereas the United States, almost 3,000 Americans lost their lives to, yes, Islamic terrorism, and this is exactly Islamic terrorism. This isn't a national war. It's not a war for land. It's not a war for anything other than to destroy Israel, to kill Jews. This is, mentioned it previously, in Hamas's charter. They explicitly reject any compromise solution here. They want the complete dismantlement. They want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and that means killing Jews. So disproportionate? Absolutely not. It will be awful, innocent Palestinians will die. This is undoubtedly the case, and it gives me no pleasure in contemplating that sad reality. And same with Israelis. Unlike the Palestinians, when they see pictures of murdered Jews, they dance in the street. And I mean, literally, they dance in the street. Or when their child has blown themselves off with a suicide vest on a city bus killing Jews, they dance in the streets. And Israel, once again, makes every effort to limit the number of civilian deaths. In the last recent rocket attack scenario, right? This was, I don't know, about a year ago. At any rate, Hamas, or terrorists rather, had sandwiched themselves in an office building. Guess who else shared this office building? AP, American Press. They were in there. What did Israel do? Phoned building managers up and dropped a knock bomb. A knock bomb hits the top of the roof, just enough to rattle the building, to give you warning that this building's going to be destroyed. And guess what? You know, the terrorist planners, they get to escape along with the American press reporters, right? Awful. And guess what? Second World War. There were hundreds of thousands of innocent Germans killed. Yes, women and children. And Japan, famously, you know, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, a huge tragedy, but a necessary one. If you examine the planning that Japan had for the defense of its homeland, hundreds of thousands of more innocent civilians would have died. So it was, at the end of the day, the lesser of evils here. So in war, you know, sometimes the lesser of the evils is as good as can be had. And in this case, Israel has absolutely no choice but to go in there root and branch. And yes, it is confronting threats from Hezbollah in the north. And, you know, it's a very, very dangerous situation. But no, Joe Biden and the United States needs to stand firm. Oh, and this question of, no food and water and electricity for the people of Gaza. This is standard negotiating tactics in hostage situations. Israel has said, release the hostages and you can get some food, you can get some water, you can get some electricity. And they're fighting a war with these monstrous villains who could not care less about their children, innocent civilians. They absolutely do not care. Israel cares more about the innocent Palestinian civilians than does Hamas. As Israel is advising what neighborhoods it's going to be bombing, telling the people to evacuate, giving them advance notice, Hamas is telling them, oh no, don't evacuate. No, it's a ploy. It's not a ploy. Hamas wants the images of dead civilians to show the world, to say, oh my God, it's horrific, make it stop. No, this is on Hamas. As I say, Israel is doing everything it can, but priority number one is to win this war and win it decisively. And there will be lots of brave Israeli soldiers who get killed while trying to reclaim Gaza. And this hostage peace here, Israel has already advised Hamas. It can't do anything other than declare war on Hamas, but it's told Hamas it will hold those individuals responsible for the murder of Israeli citizens. In fact, all of those citizens, Israel is holding them accountable. And as I mentioned, Israel has a very long memory, and it will reach out and find these people and kill them. But Joe Biden, he needed to have gone one step further. Why? To protect those American hostages. Joe Biden needed to get in front of the world and declare that any American hostages killed by Hamas, and it is war. And this would, in all likelihood, prevent the murder of American hostages. And yes, if Their declaring war on Hamas means declaring war on Hezbollah, the party of God, if you believe the literature, which I don't, and Iran. So be it. I had somebody, comment on one of my videos. Oh, how about enough war? Sometimes war is, you don't get to decide. You don't get to decide. Nazi Germany didn't give the world an option. Imperial Japan didn't give the world an option. And in this case, it may very well not be an option. I noticed 2 aircraft carriers, I think one's in the region and another one's heading in there with sufficient firepower aircraft to do some serious disruption and damage. And the United States also has other important military assets in the region. I don't know, this could bounce off in very strange angles, but the people of the United States need to remain strong, supporting of Israel and its conflict with Hamas. And this roller coaster is on the terrorists and the terrorist supporting states to decide where this roller coaster goes. But at the end of the day, the United States, Israel needs to win this thing. It's not a choice that's on the table. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and attention. Yes, prayers for the poor hostages in Gaza and for the people of Israel. And please do check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. I go in depth in the analysis of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the murderous ideology that is supporting it and fueling it. Thank you so much for your time in the book. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. If you like the video, please do drop a thumbs up. Thank you so much for your time and attention now. Bye-bye.